I don't know who did the shooting, to be honest with you right now, but somehow they were embedded in that group of folks. Now, I would have to make an assumption right now that based on the fact that these officers were standing together, and there were several officers standing right there together when this happened, that these were shots that were parallel to the ground, not up in the air, or they weren't skip shots. And I would have to make an assumption that these shots were directed exactly at my police officers.
One officer was shot in the face. The other was hit in the shoulder. Some eyewitnesses disputed the claim the shooter was embedded with the protesters. Activist Ray McKesson tweeted, "The shooter was not with the protesters. The shooter was atop the hill." Pierre Thomas of ABC News said this appears to be a random shooting by someone who just showed up. Just hours before the shooting, Ferguson Mayor James Knowles discussed the resignation of Police Chief Thomas Jackson and the Justice Department report.
As I've said, we continue to go through that report and talk about where the breakdown was. Again, the chief, being an honorable man, decided that we need to talk about the way moving forward was with someone else, and so he left. But that is not to say that that's an indication of anything at this point. Again, we want to go, and we have been going through that report and identifying the breakdown.
Ferguson Police Chief Jackson will receive $96,000 in severance pay. City Manager John Shaw, who resigned a day earlier, will receive $120,000. The City of Ferguson will also cover their health insurance costs for a year. Municipal Judge Ronald Brockmeyer has also resigned. We'll go now to Ferguson, where we're joined by Reverend Osejifo Seku, pastor from the First Baptist Church in Jamaica Plain, Massachusetts, who was dispatched to Ferguson by the Fellowship of Reconciliation. He went to high school in St. Louis, has family in Ferguson. Most significantly, right now, he was outside the police station last night or early this morning at the time of the shooting. Reverend Seku, start off by telling us exactly what happened at that time. Where were you? What did you see? What happened?
Thank you, Amy. We were essentially wrapping up. About 40 or so protesters were across the street. They had been pushed back by the police on more than one occasion. And then all of a sudden, 3 to 4 shots rang out north of the protesters and north of the police station. We all turned in a direction up a hill on a one-way street where the shots were coming from. And then we saw the officer down and screaming. And then, chaos ensued. Everyone took cover. We began to help clear the lot to get people out safe. The police began to draw their weapons. A number of police cars headed toward the area, and we did all we could to get people out. But the idea that the shooter was embedded inside the group of protesters, that it came from that crowd, is not true, but rather it came up from north of the protesters as we were between the shooter.
There's a hill near there?
Yes, there's a hill. The hill on the one-way street that runs perpendicular into South Florissant, right in front of the police station.
And Reverend Seku, what do you think the impact of this incident is likely to be in Ferguson?
I mean, the reality is this is a no-win situation for anyone involved, for Michael Brown's family, for the 2 officers who were shot, for a community that is grieving and who has been protesting peacefully and nonviolently for over some 200 days in the wake of a devastating Department of Justice report, which has confirmed the claims and cries of the protest. And so its impact can be great. We are, concerned that the protesters or this movement will be demonized for the shooting of the officers. And it is just a no-win situation for anyone involved and who has a stake in that. And but we are nonetheless committed to nonviolence in this movement. And we will, in due time and due respect, continue our activities to highlight the systematic injustice that the Department of Justice report articulated.
Reverend Sekou, one of the officers, the officer who was shot in the face, was from Webster Groves, and another was a St. Louis County cop. And there's going to be a news conference that's held where we'll get more information. There have been shots fired before in these last months during the protests. Again, people saying they are not part of the protest, equally condemning this, also being extremely frightened. Did you all take cover when this happened?
Yes, we all went down. We ducked and kind of looked, and when we realized that the officer had been shot, everyone either began to run or got down behind cars. I mean, it was quite terrifying for all of us, including the protesters as well as the police, many who went down and began to scurry themselves.